There was no issue with pricing really when I learned how to sell.
Welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. We have Craig Simpson from Simply Fit and Nicky Sehgal, who's his business coach from Fitness Business Development Academy.
Problems are a good thing. That means you're moving in the right direction.
Craig talks about the waitlist strategy that he has in place for his gym.
Actually, just organically been saying to people, like, if you don't sign up now, like, you won't get in. It completely changes the mindset. And I was like, wish I'd have said this 5 years ago.
When you go for growth, it costs three things, right? Money, time, and energy. And that's good, you need to grow, right? But you have to have a leveling off period. What we see from successful people, they don't shout about it a lot.
We discuss why some of the most successful fitness business owners and entrepreneurs in this industry are under the radar.
They're not on Facebook and social shouting about how much money they're making. They're quiet, they're in the background, they're doing their thing. Every time he drops 95%, like, we have words. It's not about getting customers right now, it's about keeping customers. You got to play with defense first, right? Otherwise, like, you're going to struggle. So that 95% mark is it's a non-negotiable.
Let's jump into the episode. Nicky, Craig, welcome to the podcast. We thought this would be a great episode to bring both of you together to talk about the collaboration of how you've worked together and how Craig has scaled his business. So a big issue that we see in the industry is far too many PTs, fitness professionals, fitness entrepreneurs, gym owners try and do everything themselves, and they don't tap into the knowledge and guidance of a mentor or a coaching company. But Craig, you didn't do that. You seeked out someone who's been on that road already. So Nicky, Craig, welcome both of you to the Fitness Marketing Agency podcast. Let's go back. How did you guys connect and how did the relationship start?
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, you go.
Yeah. So I was a PT. Starting in the industry is your standard sort of journey, to be honest. Left school, was rubbish. So I was into fitness and all that. So one thing I did, so I was like, I was a sprinter. That was my sort of background before I was a PT. So I was competing in sprinting. From a pretty young age, the one thing that I was actually good at was when I was working with some of the older athletes, like watching them doing sprint starts and like breaking down the biomechanics of it and stuff. So the natural progression for me to go into one of two things, which is probably something we'll talk about actually. I don't know if you remember this, but when we did connect eventually, I said like, okay, I'm obviously a PT. I want to start training with athletes. And he was like, there's no money in it.
Yeah, I definitely remember that. And we've all been there, right?
We hear it all the time. Yeah. Like, I only want to work with high rocks athletes, or I only want to work with CrossFit athletes or pro football players, soccer players, rugby players. And yeah, well, why is there no money in it?
It's a harsh reality. It was the same with me, right? I got into the industry because of my sporting background, and my dream was the same as most personal trainers. Want to work with athletes, but after year one, I realized straight away, there's not that much money in there. If you did your research, even like people who work in top Premier League clubs, like there's only a certain amount that they will actually get paid, which is, if you do good in business, it's a lot less, right? So
here's the thing: if the athlete's decent, they were a pro club or a pro coach.
Yeah.
So the market is even smaller, because then you're going after the semi-pro athletes that have aspirations to go pro, or they're just semi-pro level. And again, like the money's just not there.
They don't have the money. No, most athletes just don't have the money, right? So it's a pet for me. It's like, I'm not saying don't do it, but it has to be a pet project. It can't be the business.
Unless America, maybe, where the funding is a little bit different.
I mean, maybe. And if you look at America, the supply and demand of coaches versus athletes is massive, right? There are so many coaches trying to get to that market, hence then the price goes down, right? So again, it can be a tough market to hit, but you do get, listen, the ones that do make it actually could be, but the odds are not in your favor, right? And I think you have to play the odds in business.
We have a saying, train every day people to become like athletes.
Yeah.
And that's when your business will make money and you live the life that you want.
Yeah, I agree totally with that. Yeah, I do remember that though. I do remember that. Like, you start to work athletes, and I said no.
So then, what was the next steps?
So basically that was a massive benefit of obviously hiring a coach in the first place, because that's just cut out a lot of pain and heartache for me, essentially. But so I was working in the gym, and I was doing sort of like probably about 30 sessions a week, something like that. But I was only earning about $2-3 grand or whatever, which was fine at the time, no dependents, whatever. So I got to a point where I was like very stuck, and I was good at coaching people, but I had not a very, should we just put a blunt term on it, like not a great business brain. I needed to obviously get to the next level. Obviously coming from a sporting background, you know, you're always wanting to hit the next level, and I can't clone myself, I can't add more time into my day. So therefore you just seek out help essentially. So yeah, running to you about 7 years ago, didn't we?
Yeah, I remember you working on the gym floor at that time.
Yep.
Yeah. And as Craig was saying, about 2 to 3K was the starting point.
Yeah.
And the first couple of things we did was to first fix his payment processing, how to collect money. It was a bit all over the place at the time. If I remember correctly, he was charging per blocks, and it was going through the gym as well. So he was getting a cut of that. And
the gym owner was getting a cut.
Yeah. So we had to look at, how to first make sure that you, even with the money you've got, have that steady, so it's every month.
Let's just stop there. So first of all, you've known each other for 7 years, but you've not consecutively worked together for 7 years.
No.
To just give it a better time frame. And then secondly, let's talk about the blocks. So even this day and age, we still have people that come on sales calls with FMA and they're still selling block sessions. So what's the alternative? What's the pros and cons of block packaging? Can you just break this down, Nicky?
Yeah, sure. Like the alternative and the best way is the calendar month method, right? There's no doubt in my mind that is the most profitable way to do it. And it's better for the customer and it's better for you as the trainer, right? If this is what happens when people buy blocks, let's say they buy a block of 10, when it comes to renewing, you see them slow down on their sessions, and that doesn't really help them because they start missing out on the workouts that they need to get results. But in their head, they're like, I don't want to pay the next installment, so they just block it off a little bit, right? And again, that hurts the business as well, right? And then you're constantly chasing. With the calendar month method, or where you're billing them every month in a billing cycle, they forget, and they need to forget, and they have to make it part of their lifestyle. They don't miss sessions, and they get used to it. And that by far is the best way. And that's what we taught Craig, and that's what we teach everyone at the FBDA.
I remember back in the day when I was selling PT, 10 blocks, someone would come in, they would do 2 sessions a week. This is what they intended to do. They'd do that for the first couple of weeks. And then suddenly they got to take the cat, to the vet, or their daughter's got some school fete, or they got their anniversary, or they're ill themselves. And before you know it, the 10 blocks session that you thought would take 4 or 5 weeks to complete is now extended out to 10 weeks, and it's just bad for business. As the PT, the gym owner can't forecast cash flow. The client doesn't get results because they're missing sessions, and ultimately, just like every direct debit flies out of everyone's account, the payment to the coach, the payment to the gym should be exactly the same.
It's a killer, right? And you can't build a business on bad economics, and that's the first bit of economics that you have to do, right? Is how do we collect money so it's subscription based, and there is some education to go around that for the client, but it's in their benefit. I was having to joke with everyone, listen, these people are going to spend money on rubbish anyway, right? So they might as well spend this money on something that's good. They might be hesitant to do it at the start, but trust me, at the end, they'll be thanking you for it.
Any cash?
Actually, where I would, if you'd asked me, I would definitely would have done. Obviously, being a closed-minded, not good at business, don't understand the idea of obviously subscriptions and forecasting and stuff. The gym didn't allow it, so that maybe was in my benefit. But at the end of the day, it didn't really solve anything either way. It's because obviously at the end of the block, they're gonna stop eventually, aren't they? So
still to this day as well, we hear people I've got $2,000 coming in on direct debits. I've got $2,000 on this. I've got $2,000 in cash coming in every single month because I don't want to pay tax, VAT, etc., etc. Give me your thought process on that.
I think it depends how you think, right? If you want to grow a business properly and you want to grow a business that's going to kind of serve your life serve you for the rest of your life, then I think you have to get past the whole paying VAT, and it's something that you have to do, right? Taxes, unfortunately, a part of life, part of growth, but you do get around it. Everyone, including myself, is hesitant at the start. But if I had to go back and tell myself the same story, I would have told myself, I just wish I would have went past it earlier. Because once you're past it, it's just a lot better. And the other thing is the administration headache of dealing with all this stuff. It's costing you creative time in your brain, which you need to solve bigger problems, like getting new customers, putting in new products, creating different ways to actually grow your business because you're too busy trying to chase up money from different areas at all the time. Yeah, it takes great. There's only so much brain power you have every day, right?
I think going back to what you said, at the start that you're playing the game too small. If your whole intention every single month is like, oh, I must take some cash and I must hide this money here so I avoid paying tax and VAT. Like, you need to put that energy into thinking bigger and being like, you know what, I'm going to go all in on this business and create a monster that's going to help serve more people. And as a result, I'm going to get paid more money anyway. So stop trying to dodge the system. Yeah. And like, look at other professions. You know, the last time you went to the chiro, the osteo, the physio, the massage therapist, if they turn around and went, hey mate, give me some cash for that session, you'll be like, what is this? Like, it's just unprofessional as well, right?
Yeah, just having one system is the easiest and it'll make you the most money over the long term.
What system should people get, or what do you advise?
So a direct debit or via Stripe or via Go Cardless, using some type of payment process is the best system. Normally that gets done from your client management system, like a Legit Fit, a Team Up kind of thing, and integrated with Stripe or Go Cardless is probably the best way. When I say direct debit, I do not mean bank transfer. That's a headache as well, because like then you've got to remind the client of transferring the money, and they slow it down. Yeah, so you want to have it automated by a payment processor, right?
Yeah, I don't like the direct debit thing, because if you put it in their standing order, so if you put it in their hands, I'll do that tomorrow.
It doesn't get done, basically, right?
So like we'll go into sales process and everything in a second, but like, Craig, when someone joins, like, you take the payment, right? You don't put it in the hands of the customer to set the payment up.
Yeah. Well, like you mentioned, Team Up, that's the system we use. So it handles obviously all the bookings and all that, and integrates Go Cardless into it. So basically, at the point of sign up, like, are you ready to get going? Yeah, fine. Just press that button, purchase, takes you through Go Cardless, put all your details in, and then that's it. And then it just recycles, and then don't have to worry about it ever again. And you pay a very small percentage. So like, I get, maybe if you wanted to do a standing order, it would be, you're like bypassing the Go Cardless fees, but I mean, it's £2.
This is what I'm saying. You got to take the fee.
Yeah,
take the fee, man. It's like a lot of a lot of people say, oh, it costs. I mean, like, you will lose more money by not paying that fee, right? It's just a part of business. You have to pay that fee. It's worth every single penny.
So to recap, 2-3K a month. An issue with block selling, switched it to consistently payments, and then we got rid of cash. We cleaned everything up, right, with the finances.
Yeah, we cleaned everything, and then it was about the model. It was like he was stuck at 1-to-1, and we went, right, like, semi-private is the way. And there was a bit of coaching around like moving from 1-to-1 to 1-to-2, and then 1-to-3. I think in that gym.
It was just 1-to-2. Was it 1-to-2 was the it was there was a little bit of getting around it, because basically the gym, the way it was set up, was very old school. So like, me coming to him and be like, oh, like, got this new idea of doing subscribing your clients. Like, no, it's like I was like being some seedy salesman or whatever. And like, if I can help them train for longer, they'll be happier, because they'll be healthier and stuff.
So the gym owner didn't like the fact that you were shifting the model.
No,
he didn't understand.
It was more of it's not a council, but it's more of a council type of a set of gyms where I worked, essentially. Yeah. So to change anything, needed a meeting about a meeting essentially. So I was pulling teeth. So eventually I did sort of like work around the system a little bit, but did 1-to-2, and yeah, like, just doing the same sort of training, but I'm seeing twice as many people.
There's going to be so many people listening to this similar position. They got a stacked full because they're a decent person or a decent coach of one-on-one clients. They know they need to shift. How did you break it to your clients? Hey, next week, by the way, I'm going to partner you up with Bob or Susie. Yeah. How did you do that?
Yeah. So it's obviously, I mean, like, if I'm let's just say, for instance, I'm charging somebody £30, right, for a 1-to-1. Like, I would charge them slightly less, not half, obviously, but I'd say it's 22, 25 or whatever, right? So automatically they're getting a little bit more, and therefore you can train more, because, and we'll probably get to this at some point, because now we do like small group training in terms of like the studio that I'm in now. And I realised that, and this is what I said to a lot of people, the model of 1-to-1 for me, unless you're really, really wealthy, it's broken. So I see my client, if I'm doing 1-to-1, like, you're my client, and I'll see you usually once a week. If I'm lucky, I'll see you twice a week. But 3, 4, 5 times a week, which is however many times you want people to train, they can't afford that, because, like, it's £1,000 plus a month, basically. So you basically, you're coaching them, you're teaching them, this is the technique for this is the technique for this, here's your program, I want you to go and do it 3, 4 times a week. And no matter how good you train somebody, no matter how much education you give them, some people will go in and some people just won't go in, because it's the element of walking into the gym, which is like busy, it's intimidating, it's dirty, there's guys throwing weights about and stuff like that. So there was always an elephant in the room to overcome. So part of the going to semi-private, and obviously something that I built upon that, obviously today's day is, I was saying to him, like, you can train more often and that will help you. Like, you don't need to step foot in the gym again.
Did any of your one-on-one clients go, no, it's not for me, see you later, Craig?
I mean, it's a long time ago. Probably a few.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry. A lot of them, none of them left, obviously, because I didn't say, like, this is the change I'm making. I did say, like, I'll keep some of whatever if you wanted to do one-to-one. But I trialled the semi-private, and I'm like, right, just try it and see how it goes. Probably about 75% of them did convert to semi-private.
But your revenue didn't drop, right?
No, and it massively increased from that point. Yeah, like I was making, so 2 to 3K meant it was like 3 to 4K.
The same amount of time, right? Same amount of time in the session.
Same programming, everything. Yeah.
And my opinion is really, you don't really need to sell one-on-one training unless the person's got a severe medical condition, like let's say a stroke rehab client. It's a A-list celebrity that needs you for the privacy, or it's a pro athlete that needs like specific programming. Most people are more than happy and capable to be trained in a small group. They've just been conditioned to think they need that one-on-one attention. So unless they have a severe injury or illness, they are A-list. I'm talking A-list, like celebrity that needs it for the privacy, or they're a pro athlete. But pro athletes already contracted to a club or a coach, most probably already, so they're not coming to you. Like most people, like including myself, I slot into group training. Like it's easy, you know. It's
also the conditioning of the trainer. The trainer's conditioned to do one-on-one, right? In their head, you know, even like if you go out in today's more, unless people have been taught how to do semi-private, most are still doing one-to-one, believe it or not, right? But you talk to them and it's such a closed mindset. So they're also conditioned to think that they need to train one-on-one and until they're taught different. And it's like you said, it's more fun. We call it a triple win scenario, right? Where the client gets more sessions for a cheaper price. So the affordability factor's there. And agree with Craig here. One-to-one is a flawed model from the onset. It doesn't work because no one does that training at home or to the level that they need to do. So you have to get them in. It's better for the business because the business makes all revenue. It's also better for the staff because you're able to pay the staff a little bit more because you've got the revenue to actually pay them, right? So that's the triple win scenario from that model, and it's more fun. This is the thing for the client. The actual group dynamics make it more fun. The group dynamics are fun. That's when I realized when I went to I was the same. I was the biggest one-on-one trainer ever, right? And it took my mindset a little bit of a time to get through it. But when I started to do it, I was like, this is like team sports, and this is what I loved playing: football, basketball. And for our clients, this is it, right? It's the jokes and the banter around it, not the programming or the technical side of it. It is more about just having a little bit of fun doing it.
So kicking in with the group training, then obviously you left that gym. So can you just talk through the process and then where did you go next?
So So you know, we were talking about we haven't totally worked together for all like the time that I've known him. So like we did like little bit of like maybe a year or two together or whatever. A, we went through the model. B, probably more importantly, like you told me how to sell to people. So like not so much talking about like the financial side of it, but you know, listen, what your goals, what your ambitions, why, like what are the ultimate reasons why you want to, you know, so.
Meaning like most PTs, gyms, coaches will be like, oh, hey, here's our price list. Go to Team Up, which is a great system. Like, here's a link to click, go and buy. And people don't. So you started going and just asking people, like, why do you want to achieve that?
Yes.
Why is that? So you find out a deeper reason, which then helped with conversions.
Absolutely, Like, there was no issue with pricing, really, when I learned how to sell at the end of the day. Because it comes to, you know, if... Can you help me solve my problem and achieve my dreams, which is to be fit and healthy? And if that's yes, like you're worth any money, aren't you? At the end of the day, and especially when you like, I know it's some sort of going on a bit of a tangent, but like when you look at like the cost to the NHS in terms of like the health of people at the moment, and we know prevention is more effective than the cure. Like, you're not... I remember on one of your sales calls, Luke was talking about, like, you know, if you're in America and you get on, like, I think it was like blood pressure medication, like, you're off, basically. because you're never going to get off it. And if you can stop getting on that by getting healthier before, then you're going to save yourself thousands of pounds or dollars, as it would be basically. So learning how to sell basically.
So it's all making sure the prospective client knows the consequences if they continue on the route that they have.
Yeah, exactly.
And positioning it in
like
that
what
way.
if you don't change now? Like where are you going to be in 5 years, basically? Yeah, maybe dead.
Powerful question.
Yeah. It's and it's funny, innit? Because like people don't want to ask that question, do they? Because it's like, oh, it's really intrusive or whatever. But if somebody don't ask it, like the Grim Reaper's going to ask it, innit?
They need to hear it. They need that question.
Yeah.
For them to, like, it's classic sales. They need that mirror shown in front of them, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of builds the value. But yeah, it's basically a sales system, right, that we went over. It's
Yeah.
So installed better sales principles.
Yeah.
teachings,
So then we sort of part ways, and I was doing my thing for a while. And then again, you know, I've been doing what I've been doing for a couple more years.
How old roughly were you at this point?
How old was I? Oh God, probably about 20, 28, 29, something like that. And then something like that. Anyway, I decided, like, again, you know, getting pretty bored. Kind of wanted, what is the next step? Can't add more hours in my day. I can't clone myself. So I thought, right, I think I'm ready to open my own gym. Basically, I'm sick of being told no for whatever reason. So contacted Nicky again. Was like, how's it going? It's like, yeah, good. So I want you to help me open a gym. And the first question you said was, like, should it be a gym? Like, do you need to have a gym? And I was like, and we batted around like a few ideas, because you said, like, I can't remember why you asked me it, but it was more obviously trying to create another option, wasn't it?
Yeah, so this is the thing, right? Back then, there was D2 planning still so it was hard to get a studio. And it's a little bit easier now, but I still see this, or we still see this as FBDA a lot, right? People get stuck where they're at because they're waiting for a studio. And
so people outside of UK, just explain D2,
so
D1.
you need a certain planning permission, or in, let's say if you're in the US, somewhere, it'll be a zoning permission to open a gym, and it was super difficult to get it in the UK, right? But they changed that just about COVID time, just during COVID time, so it made it a little bit easier. When me and Craig started to work together first, that D2 planning was still required. So we were talking, and you just couldn't get a studio. I'm like, look, you're stuck in the gym. Like, let's think of some ideas to get your entrepreneurial mind working and make money right now, right? Because it's that mindset you need. You're going to come against these obstacles over and over again as you go through your business journey. And if you haven't got that brain or that mindset to overcome them, then you're not going to succeed, right? So it's more about, again, this is like part of coaching, is like, how do we get the client's mind to think around the problem that they have right now so they continue to make money, right? Rather than wait, which a lot of people will do. So we decided to go on in-home personal training. That was the thing that he went to. And this is where his business journey and his business problems started to occur, right? As we all do, right? It's never a straight line. There's always problems that come across, but problems are a good thing. That means you're moving in the right direction. If you're thinking like you're gonna have a business without problems, forget about it, man. It's when, right? It's not if. That's just part and parcel of the journey. But yeah, you managed to take the jump, right? The leap of faith. Yeah. Away from the gym.
Yeah. So I was still coaching, and then I had a friend who was a trainer, and he was rewind me 10 years back, just doing one-to-one, kind of struggling, to be honest, didn't know how to sell. So I was like, cool, like, do you want some help? Like, what do you think about doing in-home training? Like, I know how to sell, I can't basically do any more coaching, and I'm looking to start a side hustle, basically, because I was still in the gym. He was like, yeah, all for it. So basically, I started to advertise online and stuff like that, get a little bit of word of mouth going, and I go to these people's homes. And I think the idea of the asking the right questions and getting to the root cause of the problems was even more effective with in-home training, because they were sat in their own living room or in the kitchen or whatever. Like, they're more comfortable, so they're more likely to, like, and we had a lot of like tears basically in like consultations and stuff. And if you see Wolf of Wall Street, when he's got the woman on the phone and she's like crying, he's like, yeah, I've got it. Because you know, like, okay, well, I've ultimately got to the root cause of the problem, and then, you know, you can help them at that point. So
Mr. and Mrs. Smith has like done multiple things in the past, spent thousands, maybe hundreds on trying to find a solution. They're very unhappy in themselves. Maybe it's affecting their personal relationship, their work career, their business. They're not happy with what they see in the mirror. This is my opinion, and many do think like this. Fitness professionals, gym owners, PTs, fitness entrepreneurs, they're doing a disservice if they don't ask the hard questions, and the hard questions get hard responses, which equals tears in many cases. So for anyone listening or watching this who thinks, oh, Wolf of Wall Street, that's not me, I don't want to make people cry. You're not intentionally going out there to make people cry. All you are doing is asking the right questions that get these emotional answers back.
yeah,
And then that is the unlocking of that person's bad habits, their mindset towards exercise, towards food. They get the end result that they're paying for, and you're getting a great transformation and an amazing testimonial because you've asked the right questions at the start of the relationship to unlock all of that bad thinking that they've had.
If they're not doing it, let's call it what it is, right? Even though that's sales, if they're not doing it in sales, they're going to do it in their coaching process anyway, because you're not going to be able to get results without knowing what the root causes of the problem are anyway, right? So it's getting done no matter what.
Going back to what we said earlier, too many gym owners, PTs, oh, here's my prices, yeah, join if you want. And then they join, and guess what? They leave within 90 days because no one had that conversation.
You've got to build a relationship right from the beginning, haven't you?
Yeah, you need to know what those deep-rooted issues are, which is because coaching is a transformational process, right?
Yeah.
And for that to happen, you need to know what's going on inside, yeah.
Like you say, you've got a really good one. I tell it to my team all the time. Like we're trying to really create a game that they can always win, but never ends. And if you don't know what their end result is or what their goal is, then you can never create that game for them, can you?
Never.
At the end of the day.
What would you say to the fitness studio that's watching this, that is in a big city where there's a big foot flow of people that do class pass or do like pay as you go? We won't go down why is that a bad business model, but how can they install some sort of human connection with that clientele rather than just transactional, like, oh, we got 10 people on ClassPass this day. Or
so funny. So I'm working with a client who's gone through that process right now, and she's in a major city. I won't mention the city, right? But I just go on her story. First, she wasn't getting the data from the ClassPass.
To ClassPass own the data?
ClassPass own the data. I was like,
what do you mean, like full postal, like email?
Yeah, I was like, when they're coming in, you need to get their data. Okay, and now you can start to build a relationship with them. And she didn't know that, right? So I was like, get the data, and then we can start to sell them into your program, and then we can cut out ClassPass, basically, right? And she started to do that, and it's working, and she's starting to build a relationship and moving them into more of a coaching process rather than a ClassPass. So with ClassPass, all those kind of things, it's just a workout. What's different from that workout and another workout? And you can't, once you do that, then it becomes a commodity. And once it's a commodity, it's like price sensitive, you know, and that's the key thing that you have to think about. When you're transforming somebody's life, when you're taking someone from A to B, that's a whole different game than just turning up for a workout. And that's what you're selling, right? That's what we do as personal trainers. You are here, let's get you to here. These are the things that you need to do in the middle, but it will change your life.
And a lot of times, like, it could be ClassPass, it could just be a gym that has a drop-in fee. What tends to happen is a random person will turn up for a workout, and the coach puts more attention into that random person because they don't know the fundamentals sometimes of how to squat, how to lunge, how to press. They've got injuries. So you've got all your regular members that you have a relationship with. Someone new turns up on a drop-in because they're on holiday or they're there for work, and the coach's attention goes on that person who's never going to purchase from you again, but has an awesome drop-in session, and all of your members get forgotten. I see this, like I used to do a lot of CrossFit. I used to see it all the time in CrossFit, huge. They got 10 people in a class, number 11 turns up, complete random, who's there for work, but you know their egos may be massive and they think they can do all these like advanced movements in CrossFit, and the coach has to go and spend loads of time trying to help them on their techers when everyone else gets forgotten.
I think you have to look at evidence in it. I've never seen a successful business that runs that type of model, you know, that runs ClassPass or drop-ins. It might look good on the outside, but yeah, I get to see a lot of profit loss sheets, right? So, and you kind of see what works and what doesn't. That definitely doesn't work.
Oh, but I'm in a major city.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I've got loads of people, got loads of transactions on ClassPass, loads of drop-ins.
And it's not a game of volume, as we know, right? If you have the right people and a certain amount, the right price point that's paying you on subscription, you don't need unlimited amount of members, right? You only need a certain amount. The game we always play with our clients is, what do you actually want from life, right? And figure that out first, and then build your business to serve your life, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about London, right? Where there's a number of member-only clubs where you have to pay a down payment and then you pay an ongoing subscription to get access to that club. Like, those member-only clubs are seen as exclusive. And then you've got general restaurants where anyone can just like rock up and have a meal. And the same with a fitness business, right? Do you want your fitness business to have that volume of people just going through it? Or do you want to have that exclusive club?
Yeah, that exclusive club is definitely making more money. There's no doubt about that. And they're able to serve their customers better because they're paying, like what you just said, Ben, they're able to pay attention to the people actually paying rather than the ones that are dropping in, which take double the amount of energy because like you got to get to know them, right? You got to get to build that relationship, and like from a training point of view, you don't understand their
supply and demand and scarcity in it. Yeah. Like something that I noticed recently, because we just very recently hit his like max threshold with his membership base, and I have actually just organically been saying to people like, if you don't sign up now, like you won't get in. And it completely changes the mindset. And I was like, wish I'd have said this 5 years ago.
People don't want to miss out.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, you got authenticity now, innit? That's the thing, innit?
Yeah.
It's real. It's real. He has got you have your full to capacity, right?
Another way to look at it is like golf clubs. Yeah. There's so many golf clubs out there where you can just pay as you go. I guarantee they're failing, and they're probably selling off the golf clubs to housing developments because the golf club can't make money. And then you've got golf clubs where there's you got to pay to just be on the wait list. Then you have to pay another fee for your enrollment fee. Then you have to pay very high yearly fees, even though you might play on that course only 3 months of the year. And guess what? Golf clubs are thriving.
It's how you position yourself in the marketplace, right? This is important, and what you said earlier on, the psychology of buying, of how people perceive the club that they're paying into, and it's the same with fitness businesses.
So you're training people in their homes. You start to build a team.
Started to build a team, yeah. So I went from one trainer to 2 trainers to 3 trainers. Somewhere along the line, we became obviously partnered. So I came. So basically, I was doing the in-home stuff and had one trainer. I was looking at another trainer because he only had a limited amount of obviously availability because he was doing a bit of his own stuff, and there was a bit of an issue with that in time. But we'll get to it. Then COVID hit basically, and my gym actually closed like forever, and they were just like said, "No, we're not opening."
Just to fill in the gap, the gym that you was originally in, so you started the in-home stuff.
Yes,
and you're still in the gym.
I was still doing my own coaching just to basically facilitate all the other, the stuff. And obviously then my gym basically was like, they rung me up when lockdown happened, March 25th, and was like, we are closing. And we're not going to reopen, basically. I was like, wow.
When you look at that wasn't that the best thing to happen for you personally, right?
Best
this
thing
is
ever.
it, because and I see this a lot with people where they're like, I would like take the jump, and they're scared to let go of the thing that is holding them back, but got them to that point, And but once you've taken that, you ain't got a choice. You have to make it work, and Craig did, and so many other people do, right? When they don't have that choice.
I could have probably taken a jump earlier.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
For a good 6 months or so, Nicky was like, when are you gonna do it? When are you gonna do it? And it's funny, like you say that now, because I mean, like, is it Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill? So as soon as you cut the strings, then you can fly, can't you, basically? And even though I'd read that book like twice, and I would like say it to somebody else, still wouldn't do it. But then obviously COVID hit, I was like, all right, gotta do it. But I was in a perfect place to then go, right, all of my clients, I've been doing this a while, so I know like what works, what don't, and we just went, obviously we immediately couldn't go into homes because obviously the restrictions and stuff. So we had like certain parks that we would operate out of. Rung the council, they would turn the lights on the evening for us, so that was really good. So I had like 2 tennis courts in the area. The floodlights would stay on till 10 o'clock at night. We'd train in snow, wind, sleet, rain. But as brutal as it was, like it was a massive learning experience because when COVID hit, I had my second coach, and he was basically like ready to go straight up to full time. So I was like, right, I've got really a massive surplus of availability now, and that's when I got in touch with you guys, did the 90-day momentum, and there's a funny there's a funny memory of basically when I was in one of these tennis courts and Callum, one of my trainers, had an umbrella and there was two girls were stood there and I had my laptop. I was going through my presentation. It was snowing onto my laptop. And we was still selling like, you know, this almost the same amount of like packages that we do now basically. But yeah, so that was
what revenue were you at this point roughly?
So basically we went from, let me think now. I was going from about three to four, so I was doing about 4 basically, and then within that first sort of 90 days, we added a like 2-3 grand in revenue straight away.
Yeah, I think you went up to 8, right?
Yeah,
With,
eight jumps out of my mind. Yeah, so basically doubled essentially in like the first 90 days, and then going into up level basically, because just I had a vehicle to be able to like grow and scale basically on command.
I think that was the thing, and it was like trying to get him to that point, Craig, before like refer him over to FMA. It was like, okay, have something that you have capacity, so when you do turn those ads on, you've got the capacity to accelerate. I think a lot of people try to accelerate too quick when it's not built, and that causes just as much of a problem, right? So you're able to like scale quick if you have the setup right, and Craig had that setup right for when he did turn those ads on.
Yeah.
So 3 to 4 up to 8K. Yeah. VAT threshold, COVID finishing. What was next? How did you get into the studio?
So we did. We'd gone back from outdoor into doing a bit of home stuff, and at this point, then probably fast forward about 2 years or so. I had one coach. My first coach had parted ways, and then I had my head coach who is now like full time. Had another full time coach. So I had 2 full-time coaches, and then I had another who was on work experience I was going to bring in then. And then my other full-time coach, so like basically 50% of the coaching, he just turned around to me one day and he was like, "This isn't for me." And I was like completely like sideswiped me because he was really good at it and everybody loved him. But part of the issue with obviously being a PT is at some point you do have to have like honest conversations with your clients, don't you, and sit down, and when Steve or Sharon or whatever isn't following your program, like you have to sit down and say like what's going on. Like when we first sat down, we had this conversation. This is said what you wanted, and obviously you're not doing it. That element of it he really struggled with because he was wanted to be everyone's friend basically. So. We parted ways really, really well. He went into another profession essentially, and I lost a lot of clients because we just didn't have the ability to coach him basically.
This is where like having those sales systems and the FMA marketing really helped, right? Because you were able to get back up quite quickly because, and this is another lesson about failures like and learning, and I was going to say with staff, everyone's going to run into this issue, people problems, you know, and it's part and parcel of growing the business, right? Of like, when it's your first time, it can be hard, but then, like, I remember we having plenty of conversations around when your initial coach was leaving and coming up with strategies and ways to discuss and overcome these things, right?
Is that because the clients that left, they loved him so much they didn't want to train with anyone else?
Yeah, there were different reasons. One of them was that, definitely. I think one of them, because the model of, even though I'd done, sounds like I'd gone backwards a little bit, I was doing semi-private in the gym, but because of the in-home model, we was going back to one-to-one. Because obviously, I mean, you're not going to ask somebody who don't know each other to train together in different houses, are you? So we were going back to one-to-one, and then they built the relationship with that coach. So a lot of it was that reason. And it's like I've got like another person I'm coaching, and obviously I'd take a little bit of coaching on and stuff. But
so you offered them a solution, but they didn't want it.
No.
So
which is
you've come against this a lot with the businesses that you coach. What's your recommendation on rotation of coach?
Yeah, I mean it's difficult in a home based scenario, right? Because of trust and people coming into that home. But when you move to a studio, then like what we suggest is like everyone should have a lead coach, but they don't necessarily have to be that coach to train them. It's more for accountability and to guide that client through the business. But I think it's important for the customer and the business to work with different coaches. than just work with one coach, right? Yes, predominantly there's going to always be one that takes the lead, but it's not good for the client.
That does check-ins.
Yeah, it's one coach's job to make sure that they stay with the business, basically, right? That's it. Yeah.
The best gyms, the best operators, their timetable does not have who's coaching.
Yeah, and it's good for the client as well, right? Because it's not about the coach, it's about the client.
It's about the brand.
Yeah,
of the gym.
yeah. So for their fitness, for their longevity, it's like it's good to rotate trainers.
Yeah.
Because what tends to happen is Sally, who's a PT, let's say for you, she's really good and her classes are all maxed out and there's a wait list. And then Bob, who's a trainer for you, his classes are empty because people got preference Sally, right? But then Sally decides to leave the business and maybe becomes a direct competitor. She's got a head start, right? Because all of Sally thinks they're her clients. The clients think that Sally's the coach. It's not the brand. It's not the business, and it's a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, it happens a lot. It happens a lot.
So, how do we get into the studio?
Yeah. So when I lost like that last trainer I just talked about, then I got to a point where I was like, okay, we sort of recovered. We know where we are. Like. We're profitable, luckily, thanks I'm working with him.
Yeah, always stay profitable.
Always.
Every level, nevertheless, every level, right? Try and stay profitable. Yeah.
Let's just play devil's advocate here. I'm going for growth.
Yeah. So when you go for growth, it costs three things, right? Money, time, and energy. Right? They're the three things. And that's good. You need to grow, right? But you have to have a leveling off period. And we call like the profit step method is the methodology, right? The problem is everyone tries to grow linearly, which is impossible, and it knackers you out, right? Because most of your profits are when you're not growing rather than when you are growing. So what we advise to our clients is have that step and then make your money and then go again. But you have to break a few things down to get to the next level. Because what gets you to step 2 won't get you to step 3, but step 1 won't get you to step 3 kind of thing, right? So you have to change a few things. And if you do it like that, it's more sustainable over a 10, 20, 30 year period, right? Otherwise you just burn out. And what we see a lot is gyms who have grown and have never been profitable. They just keep growing. They just living off beans on toast, but just just making more money, right? But what's the point? I don't get it. What's the point, right? It's so you need to slow down a little bit and think about why you're doing it in the first place.
Let's break that down. Yeah. So a gym that's just opened the doors, been open 6 weeks, making 2 to 3 grand in money.
Yeah.
And then fast forward maybe a year, making 30 grand.
But still making the same amount of profit. And this is the key, right? And because growth costs money, right? So you have to time it and you have to plan it and you have to forecast it correctly. Otherwise, you just end up with a bigger revenue. It looks good on Facebook and Instagram, but actually you're dying, right? Because you're not making any profit. It's just a bigger mess.
Or the gym owner walks around talking to their peers. My gym does 30K, 40K, 50K, 60K.
It makes no difference. We see this all the time, right? So and right from with Craig, it was good because we got him right at the start. So we had this is how you do it, and we always made sure that we stayed profitable, right? It's not sexy. It's probably unsexy, but it's more fun in life, right?
Yeah, but Craig's bank account is sexy.
100%. And his life, right? Because he's got a kid now. He's not doing any of the training. And every month his business is profitable and he gets to take out what he needs in owner compensation, right? And that's the best way to play the game.
We all see the Facebook ads I made 20 grand working with XYZ mentor or this mentorship or this coach helped me get to 6-figure gym. But just to recap and emphasize this again, it's not about revenue.
No, it's about profit and owner compensation. That's it. Ultimately that's what it's about, right? And from our experience coaching businesses, it's a bit of a slower game, but it's a better game, and you'll last a lot longer, right? You don't really hear about. This is the other thing. What we see from successful people, they don't shout about it a lot. Okay, they're not on Facebook and social shouting about how much money they're making. They're quiet. They're in the background. They're doing their thing.
Or showing the things that they purchased.
Yeah, they don't do that. They're not in it for. This is the other thing. They're not in it for items, and they're more in it for security, if that makes sense. Financial security, and they want different things. No Ferraris or Lamborghinis, that's for sure.
Creating some generational wealth.
Yeah, 100%. This is key, right? Generational. That's security. That's what I meant by security, right? So it's more about generational wealth, and than like flashy items that are just going to get you into more debt.
Like house paid down, savings.
Yeah. It's
options.
Financial security and financial safety is probably the one.
So you're searching commercial estate agents for a...
Yeah, well, just to rewind, what made me make the decision essentially is we were at a point where, because I was with you guys, I'm like, right, I took some time to sort of steady the ship. I took 2 trainers on and I was like coaching them up. We have like a 12-week probational sort of period. One of them didn't go through it. The other one was like, I'd gone through 12 weeks training with him, and he was like, ready. We'd done like...
Let's just stop there.
Okay.
12 weeks probation.
Yeah.
So at the end of the 12 weeks, they know if they don't pass, then the relationship's finished, ended. I love that. How did that come about?
So we have one of the things we do is a staff development cycle, right? And this is where Craig was saying we create a game that the staff could always win, but that game can never end. Otherwise, they'll leave, right? So it's up to us, and it challenges us as business owners to really take our staff exactly like a client life journey, right? It's the same for that, but for the staff member, so they know that there is a career progression for them, and it starts with the 12-week probational training period, right?
Because far too many gyms like take on a staff member, or hey, participate in a couple of classes. Okay, cool, you're good to go. Yeah, you go train clients. And then what happens?
It doesn't work, right? No, it doesn't work. Everything's set up wrong from the start, including how much they pay them, and there's no progression. They get lost, and then they get like, what am I doing here? And then they leave, and then that cycle starts again and again, right?
So week 1 to 12, is it structured what they're doing when they're doing it?
Yeah. We have week 1 to 12. We have four phases basically. First phase is like 0 phase, and it's basically just to pick up from the qualification. I mean, I like to try to, if I can, get a trainer straight off being qualified, because trainers traditionally, I think, and I will be that trainer, like when you've worked for yourself, you've picked up loads of bad habits and you've got quite a big ego, and ultimately you probably have to unlearn a few of the things that you've learned if you're going to sort of work with us. And ultimately, I don't care how good of a trainer you think you are, like the one thing I am looking for is somebody who's coachable. Because if you're coachable, if you're going to listen to instructions, then you will be phenomenal, because you'll stay with us for longer, and obviously we're not going to go anywhere basically. So we have first phase is all about sort of like just the anatomy and physiology and all the sort of, the textbook type stuff. We have like a bit of an open book exam, and then we do 6 weeks of guinea pig testing. So I go to my email list, I say we're looking for 5 people to participate in free training with us new coach.
This episode is brought to you by the Fitness Business Development Academy. Are you running your fitness business, or is your fitness business running you? Are you frustrated that with all the effort you're making within your business every single day, at the end of the month, you're still not making as much profit than you'd like to? If so, the FBDA are the guys for you. These are some of the best business coaches within the fitness industry and have personally helped many of our clients here at Fitness Marketing Agency. If you want to find out how you can go from frustrated and stuck to clear and have clarity and more profit in your fitness business, these are the guys for you. If you want to find out more and book a free strategy call, all you need to do is go to www.thefbda.com or click the link around this video or where you're listening to this podcast.
Trainers love that, man. Like they want someone to mentor and coach and develop them in the industry. So our industry lacks big time. Do you know what I mean? It's like what you were saying. They just come in and pay them and leave them to their own devices. They need help, right? They need support, and they'll buy into your business and they'll buy into you a lot more if you are able to develop them.
We look at other industries like chiropractic, osteopathic industry. Like a clinic owner won't just go, okay, you're qualified from uni. Okay, here's a bunch of clients, start cracking backs. Yeah. Like there'll be a structure to
there has to be a structure
because the consequences are like
lawsuits, right? It's gonna be hard. But again, it's even when I had my own studio, I seen this blatantly, and hence where that staff development cycle came from. I did study industries outside of fitness because I just wasn't developed as much at that point, and staff need that.
We'll stop on that point. So I know the story, Craig knows the story. Just give a quick 2 minutes on. You said when I had my studio, so tell everyone what. So that was
so I owned a personal training studio from about 2006 to 2014, which I sold as a ongoing concern, operating at a good profit to a client. That was always my goal, to build a business to sell it, which doesn't happen too often especially a single unit. It's not so easy. But I had to set the whole business up for selling, which is slightly different from operating it from a profitable point of view. But along that journey, it was all about developing that team, and hence that's where the staff development cycle come from. And I just wanted to make sure the team was set to train clients. So it allowed me to get out of the business to work on other things like marketing, sales, and business development.
And the business is still running today with a new owner?
Yeah, the business, I don't think it's running anymore. I sold it about 10 years ago. But it went for 8 years, I think, after I'd sold it.
But you're in a very unique position because I don't know many people in this industry that have serviced in the industry as a PT, then became a studio gym owner, then sold the gym. We see so many mentors now and agencies, consultants pop up on Facebook ads promising the next best thing, become an online coach, I'll help you get to 10, 20, 30 grand, I'll help you build a gym. And if you look at what they've actually done in the industry, it's minimal and they're like a failed gym owner.
I mean, you've got to understand it, right? I think us going through it, and even all the coaches at FBDA are operating their own gym. I think coaching is a lot about empathy as well as anything else, right? It's not just about the mechanics and logistics of how it works. Is you got to understand. We call this situational coaching, right? There are times where Craig or a client will come to us like, "This is the problem that we have right now. How do we deal with it?" And unless you've been through it, it's hard to actually coach someone around it, right? And that's where I think these people will get found out big time. Yeah.
I saw one the other day, like a new agency. On the outside, it looks amazing. They got 3 gyms, very pretty logo. Insta looks great. And now they've become an agency as well, helping other gym owners. And I'm like, well, hang on a second. If your gyms are thriving and doing so well, why have you opened up the door to create another business? So then you go and look a little bit deeper. You go into Companies House, which for anyone outside the UK is a UK government website where every business has to be listed, and you see the P&L. You see behind the curtain, and you go and click and you check out their gyms. And you're like, well, hang on a sec. I know why you've done the agency. It's because all 3 of your gyms are failing.
It goes back to what you're saying is you're expanding for image rather than profit, right? And we see this all the time. And again, this is a saying that I have it's better to be profitable from unit one than try to grow yourself into profit. It doesn't really work. If your economics are bad from the start, they're just going to be double or triple worse the more you expand. And
it's extremely difficult to grow multiple businesses.
It's not fun either, right? It's a fair play to people who do it, right? But it's hard.
I think
it's hard work.
The message I'm trying to get across, and I think we're singing from the same hymn sheet here, is if you're looking to get a business mentor, consultant, agency to help you with any element of business or your life, just check them out. Just because they have these flash things, just because they sound good on Insta, just because they're shouting all the time about how good they are, do some deeper work, do some digging. The thing they're selling or the thing that they're coaching people on, is it their intellectual property, or did they just steal it and change a few words and they're just running with it just to make a quick buck because their main business is failing? And 9 times out of 10, their main business is failing, and that's why they've started business number 2.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that.
Back to you, Craig.
Yeah.
So we were with this trainer. We brought him in. He's ready to go. I think it was January. So great time. So we run as 2022, I think, or 2023. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was 2023. Kickstart. Get everything going. And then just as I turned the ads on, he was like, I'm going to go back to working as a nurse or whatever it was. So whatever job he was doing before. And I was like, I got no trainers.
Is the same scenario happen again?
Yeah. It's been just before he actually started. So he'd gone through this whole probational period. And I realised, I sort of took a step back and I thought, you know what? Have I created an environment where people are trainers are looking forward to going to work? I was like, maybe it could be better. Would I, as a guy who's newly qualified as a PT, do I envisage going into people's houses and doing a lot of travelling? Because it obviously is, isn't it? No, probably not. So I was like, again, we're in a good position. Let's open the gym, essentially. And that was, we decided early 2022, and then we opened June 1st 2022 basically.
So just to confirm, it's because the business model was flawed, right?
Yeah.
With staff, like turnover,
Yeah,
like people.
scalability was
Yeah.
just not there.
So decided to open that studio. Where did you open it?
So we're based in Cleckheaton. That was where we still are now, first one.
And people outside the UK, just give some
yeah,
reference
but-
to where that is.
So it's West Yorkshire basically. So Yorkshire, West Yorkshire.
Give me more reference.
so we'll say Bradford, but if I'm abroad, I'll say we're from Leeds until I meet somebody from Leeds, and then they're like, oh, got to explain where it is. But yeah, we're around there.
So how did you find that unit?
I think it was like just right move. I think
It's
yeah.
much easier to find a unit now that the planning had been
Well, yeah,
changed.
Yeah.
And I think, your in-home personal training has run its course for you as a business owner, and you've seen those different problems come up, which was staffing. And then I remember when you said you had that studio, and it was not too big, right? Like, how big is it?
No, I've got two units, and I knocked through, so I've got about 800 square feet basically.
So we'll overlay some video footage of that. So anyone who's listening to this, switch to YouTube and you'll be able to see it. How did Nicky help in that, like finding the unit? Did you negotiate? How long is the lease? How much are you paying? Because this is where people get stuck. They have massive aspirations to open a gym, but they just don't know any of this because it's brand new and they have no one guiding them. So yeah, Nicky or Craig, just how did that go down?
Do you want to take?
Yeah. Well, obviously, I mean, I'll just answer your questions. So, as lease is just a year rolling lease contract, basically. So every year it just ticks over. At the end of it, it says, "Are you happy to continue?" Sends me, "Yeah, fine."
Can they kick you out?
3-month notice period we can give, and they can give us basically.
That's quite a unique contract, Nicky, right?
Yeah.
Very unique.
Why?
Very unique. Most will have like 5-10 year lease with a break clause. But it's the business park he's on. I think that's what they do with every single tenant.
Yeah.
It's a high, fast moving in and out type business. I don't think it's more that they'll kick you out. It's like the businesses that come in and out tend to be startups for that business
That's
park.
right. Yeah.
Do you see yourself there for long term?
Yeah, well, they are really good landlords. To be fair, they'll develop us out in a number of different ways. So also you say about doing your due diligence as well. So the people who were in the unit before me actually they moved into the town centre, where our business centre is, because they needed a bigger location. So I went and spoke to them basically, and I said like, how's the unit and like how are the landlords and that, and they were like, they're amazing. There was a story about the business that was in before. It was like a sewing business. Business partners split up, and one of them wanted to continue but couldn't afford the machinery, and I think they bought it and let them buy it back off them. So when I heard that, I was like, that's really, really good. So doing that, I was like, yeah, I do really want to kind of stick with them. And hence why we've been quite close to capacity for a while, but I've been, I haven't wanted to move on too quickly.
How much are you roughly paying?
So yeah, we pay 880 plus VAT. It's basically $960 a month, essentially. Obviously we pay as electricity and stuff like that.
The situation you have sounds awesome, quite unique. For anyone out there who's looking for their own premises, what's your advice on a 10-year lease, 5-year lease, 3-year break?
So there's a couple of different options, and it is going to be unique to the person, right? With Craig, it was a startup, and the business park that he's on typically work with startups, hence the year rolling contract with a 3-month break clause, right? That has its pros and cons. Like if you want to think long term and have no fear about the landlord kicking you out, I'd recommend a longer lease, at least 5 years with something called a break clause, which allows you to get out at a 2 or 3 year period, right? The longer the lease, like let's say if it's 10 years, you'd have multiple break clauses throughout the lease, right? And there's always going to be rent raises for the landlord's perspective on that side, right? Also with a longer lease, you want to try and get a rent-free period for the first 1 to 3 months of the building. It allows you to get up and running. Most landlords would be more than happy to do that because you're in it for the long run. From a landlord's point of view, they want a long-term tenant. Okay, with rent increases throughout so it saves them a headache from getting people in and out of the business, right? But like I said, some will do the year rolling a little bit like Craig, but the pros are okay, he can get out of it. The cons are the landlord can kick him out, and that's a problem at the same time, right?
What would you say to the gym owner who's already got the 5-year, 10-year lease, is coming to the end, and they're looking at potentially buying a unit?
It's a good question. And if you could buy the unit, I would do that. But once you go into that, don't buy it just because it's where your gym. You have to look at it as an investment. So let's say if you're spending, let's say, 300,000-400,000 on that unit, you need to compare it against 340 grand for other units to see if it's a better deal. Not to move your gym in, but it becomes an investment at that time, not because you're renting from. I think that's where a lot of people get mixed up. They get emotionally connected to the building and they want to buy that. I'd be like, no, you have to look at every other investment, because it might be more financially viable to buy a whole different building and rent out, rent a different business, than buy your own building. And you want to seek professional help for that.
Back to your space. So thank you for disclosing how much you pay. So what's the model in there right now?
Yeah, so one of the rooms will run purely PT. One of the other one is a slightly bigger room. Will run bit of PT, bit of small groups. So as a membership, I basically say we do a mixture of small group personal training and semi-private PT. So each member gets a semi-private PT session every week, which is 1 to 2. And then we do unlimited access to a small group training sessions, which is 1 to 8 basically.
Roughly, what's the price point, and what's the front end offer, and what's the price point of that, and then how does it work on the reoccurring?
Yeah, so as front end offers 150, and I always find it easier to explain to people on a per week basis. I don't know why. I just think like the smaller numbers, it's more digestible. So basically, I'll explain that as front end offer is, instead of the full price, it's £35 per week, which is 150 for the 30 days
or calendar month.
Yeah, that's per calendar month.
Yeah, per calendar. Sorry, yeah. So basically, we have 150 front end, and then 217 monthly recurring.
And how many clients are you at right now?
We just ticked over 100 start of the year.
And what does that generate in revenue per month?
So we're about 19K a month.
Congratulations. So from 2-3K up to 19K.
Yeah. Just on that, it was, and this is what we say to everyone: getting to your first 10K is a lot harder than go from 10 to 20K, right? And it's not in the same amount of time, because to get to that 10K, you need certain systems, certain process, certain people in place. And this is where Craig went through all of the headache of the in-person, in-home training, the lessons he learned over those years, and the systems he set up off the back end has allowed him to go from 10 to 20 in rapid time, right? And then he's coming up with some capacity issues. And the other thing I'd like to he had a good strategy on like when to turn paid ads on, when to go organic. I think that was a key strategy that we discussed on a coaching call. But to be fair to Craig, it was his decision to say, look, I think this is the best thing, and it's what you guys have been coaching for a long period of time. And it's definitely we see something a lot of as like about how much paid ads versus building value in the marketplace you should do to get optimal results, right? So do you want to share that?
Well, it was basically something you said, I think, when you're on stage at one of your masterminds, that you were saying that if you're the trainer or you're the business that's constantly asking for members, then you don't have the analogy that you made with the golf club earlier, do you? You're not exclusive. You're showing that you're not that good because you constantly need members, and your retention's obviously shit. So I decided to back end of, what would it be, 2023, for the last quarter, I didn't run any lead gen, just did basically goodwill marketing, testimonials, put a bit of money behind them essentially. So I was just saying I'm just trying to dry my local market up in terms of exposure to me, and then we run it 2024. We hit as New Year's campaign end of January. So and then it just didn't have as obviously. I mean, when you do your 90-day momentum, you get a massive lead flow. It weren't a massive lead flow, but a lot of the systems that we have in place, I was better at selling, we was better at capturing them, was better at getting on them fun. We were just better at doing more with the leads, and I probably got about just over 100 leads, but we increased by like 30 members. So
the thing is though, like you went from about 13 to 19 in that period of time.
Yeah. So say again, you went from
13 to 19.
It's about 40 to 19. Yeah.
But it was the the thought process of not running ads and building value in the marketplace, and then hitting it in January, which is and then having everything set up in the back to make the MRR member happen, and so you're not losing clients. So a lot less wastage, right?
So I want to break this down for everyone watching or listening in terms of what FMA teaches our principles. So a lot of gyms, January through to December, every calendar month, they're putting out a new promotional ad. Join my gym, sign up to my 6-week XYZ, take part in this challenge, join my gym. And they're consistently just poking the market, ask. And most gyms in Meta, Instagram and Facebook targeting, like they're targeting 100, 200, 300,000 people in their radius, right? And if you're always, if your ads are always popping up in the feed of your target market, like basically asking them to join, the market just get annoyed with it. And what ends up happening is your cost per lead shoots up, clicks slow down, opt-ins reduce, and conversations and sales like massively drop. And it's the worst thing that anyone can do. And the best thing you can do is what Craig you're doing right now, is where you strategically plan everything out. And there's only certain calendar months of the year that you ask the market. The rest of the time you give to the market information, resources, guides to educate them. So when the market is ready and when you turn on your sales conversion ad, they come to you versus anyone else.
And we definitely see that at FBDA. The clients that are the most successful run that type of model, and it goes back to like how to grow your business. Like have that like impulse of growth, and then just like look after your customers, and then take care of the market by adding value, and then go again. And it's that profit step, it's that step method which really works.
It's a big red flag for us at FMA when a potential gym owner comes on a call with us to find out more about working with us, and they've been running ads all the time, and it's like, well, why? Like, because like marketing won't fix a bad business. Like you're probably leaking clients out the back, and you think you're good on the gym floor. You think you've got a great service, but what's the saying? Like the data doesn't lie.
That's always the problem. The business is rubbish. There's always the problem. It's not the ads or the marketing. The business is broken, but the person doesn't know it because they haven't got help for someone to look outside. They actually, where am I broken? You don't know what you don't know, kind of thing, right? So it's like it's important to get help and have someone's eyes look at your business from a different lens, and like your growth will be exponential.
Do you know your retention rates?
Yeah, 95%. We're currently on. So we've been like low 90s when we was doing, well, sort of about 90 if I were lucky, to be fair, when we was doing in home. We opened the gym up. Little trepidation in terms of like some of the members who we used to one-to-one, and I'm like semi-private groups. I don't know if it's for me. Just try it. All loved it. Then last year we hit 95% on the nose. This year we're currently at 96. Because I've set my team like I want to increase by 1% every.
You're tracking this, right?
I don't let him go with that, right? Anytime he drops 95%, like we have words, we have words. We're it's not about getting customers right now. It's about keeping customers. You got to play with defense first, right? Otherwise, like you're gonna struggle. So that 95% mark is it's a non-negotiable for us. Yeah.
Let's go back. You're making 19K a month. What's profit margins?
So basically, about right now with 19, it's about 7 OCMP, basically 7.5 OCMP.
Break that down. What does that mean?
Yeah. So my owner's compensation, pay myself, let's say $3,000, and then I have another $3,500 sat in my profit account basically at the end of the month.
Can you break that down even further?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of people, this is what traditional like business books and people do, is that they look at the profit, pay everyone else first, and then take the owner pay whatever's left from the. And while textbooks say that, it's great for probably the taxman, but it's not good for business owners, right? You need to almost flip that on its head, and there's lots of texts and books around it about paying yourself first. Because when you pay yourself first, you figure out how to pay everyone else, right? But you will not figure out how to pay yourself more, right? So it's important to pay yourself first. So we call that owner compensation, and we plan that first, right? This is how much you're going to get paid, and we scale it up. So if your business is better, you get paid first, but we make sure that you transfer that money out of your bank account into your personal account no matter what. It's just that habit of doing it. That's the owner compensation, right? The net profit is a different metric, right? So we just add it together, call it OCMP, because that gives a better range of actually what you can actually take out the business. You don't take it out, but you could take it out should you want to do, right? And the gold standard for us is 33%. And a way to look at it is just like a third should go to you and the business, a third should go to staff, and a third should go to operating expenses, including taxes.
So if we were to go into your business bank accounts, you've got a separate profit account.
Yeah.
And that's just stacking cash every single month.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to, you could pull it all out and have it as a salary, or you could pull out a fraction of it. But the goal is just to stack cash.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Oh man. Well, so in the growth of everything, like, you know, I mean, even though I said I didn't run any ads like last quarter of last year, like my margins were leaner than they are now, basically, because I was sort of focusing on, you know, the actual service, making everything work and stuff like that. And then we sort of we set a goal of hitting six, basically 3+3.
Yeah, it flips, right? You work, so as you grow, your margins will reduce because it costs money, time, and energy. And on that call, Craig was like, look, like we've grown up this stage, profits have gone down. What do we do? And we're like, all right, now we're going for profit. We're not going for growth. Yeah. And that's what we did for 3-4 months. And he set his targets and he hit the goal, right?
Yeah,
he hit the goal. Yeah.
When I hit that, like, I'd send you a message.
Yeah, man. And then
I'd send you a message saying, like, life's good. Totally different like, outlook on life when you know that you have a healthy margin, because not everything is like just ramped up to 10 when you're stressed out, because you just think like next month I might not have any money left in the account.
It's powerful though, because a lot of business coaches, like the conversation is just like revenue goal. What's your revenue goal? But you're literally like, this is the profit goal. And that's what you talk about.
100%. And this is where we go back to growth is different from profit, right? They're two different. It's like trying to build muscle and kind of lose fat at the same time, I guess, innit? They're almost like opposites, right? So, and I don't think enough people kind of understand that.
So life's good. What does a day in a life look like for you, Craig?
Which day? Right. Yeah, so to be fair, I mean, my daughter's 16-month-old, so she's obviously going through different phases of her life. So one week it could be this, next week she'll be learning how to walk, and it'll be totally different. But yeah, get up when she gets up. I try and get as much sleep as I possibly can at the moment, because I'm up a couple times in the night still. So start work when we've sort of got her ready for the day, essentially. And that could be anywhere between sort of 8 a.m. and sort of 10 a.m, to be honest.
So no alarm. She is the alarm.
No alarm. She's the alarm.
How does it feel though, like now, because you're not actually doing any training in the business. You're able to spend time with your daughter. And
I just have flashback. I got 2 daughters. Nicky's got 1 daughter. You've been here.
Yeah.
I remember every morning when they're similar age, going into their room when they're standing up, like calling, like on the cot, right? Because she probably ain't got her own bed, and and to pick them up and for their face to light up, and you see them is like proper amazing. Yeah. And the reason I'm talking about this, because I'm thinking about it emotionally from my side, is that too many business owners or too many like dads miss that because they're at work, either in a job or because their business isn't set up to support their life, and they're missing those small things, and you never get them back, do you?
Never
going to get them back.
No.
When, like, sometimes, like, you know, she'll end up in bed with Liv and I'll sleep downstairs or whatever. It's the same thing. I'll come upstairs and she, where's Daddy in? And then she goes, and like open the door and it's full on sprint. Yeah, you're never going to get that back.
But this is the benefits of building a profitable business and building a team to help you, right? You are able to cherish those moments where, like, if you were still back at the gym, you're still working 6 a.m. till 10 at night. You know, you're going to miss these moments, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Honestly, like if business owners like listening to this right now and you've got kids and this is resonating and you're not living life on your terms, like stop right now and have a serious think. And I think the answer is get help. Yeah, like you don't have to figure this all out on your own.
You can't. Like you don't know what you don't know, right? So
There's something I say to my members when I'll say about coaching. Like my head coach, like he's competed in bodybuilding. He has a coach. I have a coach, and I'll say this, like really to do kind of like get by, I think, and sort of have a good life. Do I need the coach now? Probably not. But will I ever stop? Definitely not. Because it's just the moment that I stop and the moment that I just get lazy, that's exactly what will happen. I'll get lazy, I'll go backwards. So yeah, it's worth it.
So once you've got your daughter up, when do you actually work?
Yeah, so it depends what her and mum's planning for the day, essentially. So it'll be, like I said, it'll be starting anywhere between 8 and 10, something like that. Some days I do have the opportunity to work at home, you know, so, but I say, like, whether I work at home or whether I go to a local coffee shop to kind of get away from distractions and stuff is obviously a different case entirely. But yeah, I'll start around about that time. And then first time of the day is I open my laptop up and I look at my spreadsheet, my business numbers, because if I don't do that, and I'm not just saying this because like it's told me to say it, because he hasn't, and it's true. Like if I don't look at them, like I don't know the direction that I'm going to take today and tomorrow or next quarter or this year, because that's sort of painting the map for me.
What are you looking at? Just to give people context, is it your business banking or is it Excel spreadsheet?
So we use a spreadsheet that you put together basically, don't you?
Yeah, so we call it the Fitness Business Optics sheet, and it just tracks your financials and different sections of financials. And we call it creating clients or attack and grow mode. And then we call our operations defense and retain clients mode, right? And then we just have the North Star metrics, which is like, all right, where are we going? This is the first thing. Numbers mean nothing unless you've got a destination. So we look at the destination and then like, where are we? And it's like, what do you need to do? And that's what numbers really are about, right? So you've got to know where you're going and you've got to know where you are. And now you can start to make plans on what you need to do.
Going back to the work from home coffee shop, just to, again, give context to everyone, you're not coaching any clients.
I'll do half a day. I'll do a Thursday evening because I enjoy it, and because how I'm currently set up is in terms of like the responsibilities within the business, I'll still have a large proportion of the head coaching role in terms of what I'm actually operating on doing. Because of that, I feel like I still have to stay a bit sharp in terms of my coaching, so that when I have team meetings, I know what to talk to them about and how to coach them and stuff. But obviously, I do enjoy it as well. Like there is that half a day where I do look forward to going in and coaching people. So, but I don't need to do it now.
I think that's important though, right? I do think it's, and I worked myself out of my coaching and I hated it. Absolutely hated it, right? I worked myself out. The one thing I actually loved
in your gym,
in my gym, my personal training studio, because that's what I was taught to do, right? And I realized at the end, it was like, actually, you know what, you got to do the things that you love, man. And you need to keep your boots on the floor at some point so you can see what's going on at every level of the business. I think that's important.
I think it's important for people to understand, though. Let's switch industries. Let's say this is a restaurant podcast. If you're the chef making the best spaghetti bolognese for 12 hours a day, the business isn't going to grow.
No, you can't do that. No.
So you have to like teach another chef how to make that amazing spaghetti bolognese. But you probably still want to keep your hand in the mix of the spaghetti bolognese once or twice a week to make sure that it tastes like just great.
This is what you do. It's exactly that. You need to know. And it's about choice, right? It's about having that choice of actually doing it, which is a really important thing.
Yeah.
But I think on the flip side, don't feel guilty if you don't want to train clients. I was like, I'm done.
It's not for everyone. This is the thing. It's not for everyone, right? And it's that zone of genius that you want. Some people prefer, like your zone of genius marketing. Like that's what you like to do in it. So you're trying to like build your business to get to that marketing point. For a lot of personal trainers, a lot of their genius is coaching, right? So you need a little bit of, and then you would hire out for other areas of your business.
It's okay if your zone of genius is coaching or it's something else in the business circle. Just do what you love.
Do what you love. Yeah. It's entirely different. I know we know people that love sales, right? So that's their zone of genius, right? So like they do that. They don't want to do any coaching. It's entirely up to you, man. It's like what you want to do. Yeah.
So you now signed a deal for a bigger unit.
Yeah.
So you're going to ultimately double the business, which is fantastic.
Yeah. So it's 1,000 square feet. It's ground floor. It's just giving us all the opportunities to build the gym how I originally sort of envisaged. Like where we are now, it's fantastic. But it's like a first floor, so there's things that we can't do in there, like we couldn't bolt like your racks into the floor and
Can't
all
be
that
smashing deadlifts.
Yeah, exactly. And we have been smashing stuff on the floor and downstairs. Guys have come up to moan at some point and stuff. So we had a few arguments, but ultimately, like now we're on the ground floor, and this is where we will run all of us group sessions. We could run potentially maybe up to 20 people in a session, but I'll probably cap them at about 12 because the idea of the groups is still, I want it to be an individual experience. So if you come in, I want you to know that we are programming it with anybody's ability level in mind, basically. And I think if I'm one coach, after I go above 12 people, I probably can't do that. It probably becomes a glorified circuit.
But you've already got systems, a foundation, built the brand, you've got the client base, you've got raving fans. You're ready to take this to the next level.
My team, I've got sorry. So I've got 3 full-time coaches now, and I'm looking at bringing on a 4th. We're at a position where my coach, who's been with me the longest, he's going to step into the head coaching role. So I'll basically be training him to take on like more of the people sort of management side of things. He's ready for it, totally ready for it. Yeah.
What's the website? What's the Instagram handle?
So it's website's www.simplyfitpt.com. Pretty simple. Simplyfit_PT is his Instagram.
And Nicky, for anyone, gym owners, PTs who have aspirations to be a gym owner, people in the industry, how can I find out more information about you and how can you help them?
Yeah, so if you go to our website, www.thefbda.com, you can find out more about us at the website. Or if you want to follow us on Insta, you can follow me at FitBizCoach, and we will offer you just a complimentary discovery call or a business coaching demo. We can actually dive into your business and show you like what you need to actually see, and then you can make a decision on that point whether you'd like to take it further or not.
I think the biggest takeaway from this podcast from me is business can be fun and business can be profitable and business doesn't have to be stressful. No. But you must get the right guidance and mentorship to activate that. And please, don't think you've got all the answers. I've not been able to scale and grow a fitness marketing agency because I know everything. I've tapped into different networks to help me at different points in my entrepreneurial career. Nicky's done the same. Craig's done the same. Yeah. And sometimes in the industry, it's heavy ego. I'm strong, I'm fit, I can figure out this business game myself. And please don't have any regrets, because a lot of gym owners 24 months down the line, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, they're in the exact same position. Loads of growth, no profit, funds zapped out of them. They want to exit the industry, or they're just completely stuck spinning their wheels. And you've got to be connected to someone who's giving you that thought process, an alternative way of thinking, giving you guidance to reinstall that energy in you to then, do what you're doing, Craig. So hats off, testament to your hard work that you've, what you're doing.
Thanks, mate.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Thanks for listening to the Fitness Marketing Agency podcast. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe so you can catch future episodes.